Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann, and I show men and women how they can lead healthy, happy, sustainable lives. And I'm really delighted because I'm joined by Tommy Evans. Hi, Tommy.
Hi, thanks for having me with you today.
Great to see you. So for those of you that don't yet know Tommy, he works as a mortgage advisor and a loan consultant. So before we get into that, Tommy, I have to read a testimonial that was written by an attorney that worked with you. And basically, it says, Mr. Tommy Evans is truly the best. Not only is he highly intelligent and compassionate, but he is a real family man, and it shows in his patience with his clients. Tommy is honest, and it's a pleasure doing business with him. So how wonderful. So I'm just
that's great. Yeah, and I love hearing great feedback like that. It's incredible.
Absolutely. So I'm just wondering, were you taught those kind of family values as you were growing up? Tell us a little bit about the early years of your life, Tommy.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is my mom was a teacher, and so I take a educational and consultative approach to my business, and so for me, knowledge is power, and so ultimately what I'm trying to do is provide my clients with the information so that they can be able to go out there and make the right choices when the time comes to either purchase a home, or when they're looking to refinance, making sure that we're providing them with not just, hey, here's a 30-year fixed. We're giving them tools to, well, what happens if you make extra payments? What are some different ways that we can help you to eliminate this debt, and not just resetting it over 30 years. And so that's kind of how we look at things.
Brilliant. And as you were growing up, what was it like? What was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I grew up here I'm in California, and so my as my mom being a teacher, it was awesome because she had summers off, and so my childhood memories are summers off, going to the beach with my mom, or traveling cross country in a motorhome. My father was very influential in the things that we did. So we did a lot of camping trips. We had a whole big, huge group of campers that we grew up with. And so, whether that be, Mexico, California, Arizona, out to, you name it. I mean, we hit every single, national park here in the United States. And there are some consistent places that we always would go to, literally every summer. We're going out to Lake Powell and, renting houseboats. And so my childhood, was a lot of fun, and I feel blessed that I was able to, explore as much as I have. And I think that is really, I mean, it had a huge impact on my mindset, and always wanting to look under the stones, and keep exploring in not only my personal life but in business as well, and trying to make things better. And so yeah, no, it was a lot of exploration and camping, and then sports came into to play, and so once my later childhood time came above, it was a lot of you know just weekends with sports travel. And so I played soccer in college, and I was a goalkeeper, and so a lot of that was just all sports related for sure, once I high school and beyond.
That's a hard position though, isn't it? Goalkeeper. You're either, the best or the worst if you let a goal in.
Yeah, look at the Euro Cup. So your British goalkeeper there, he did a great job, but the Italian one did one more save better.
Yeah. So you mentioned mindset. Did you actually inherit any? I know we all inherit beliefs, good and bad. So did you inherit any beliefs from parents, teachers, peers that perhaps didn't serve you in a positive way as you were growing up?
Yeah, of course. There's the stubbornness that there's a lot of my family members tend to have. which can serve you well in certain ways, but can also be a negative. Um, I'd say that's probably the main one is some sort of inflexibility that I can have, but it's something that I can I've learned to get better at and I'm working on, and so that's probably the main one that comes to mind.
I can absolutely relate to that one. So when you left home, Tommy, you didn't actually go straight into mortgages and loans, did you? Tell us about how you got from when you left home to where you are right now.
Yeah, so I ended up graduating from Oregon State University with an engineering degree, and right out of college, I was able to land a job with a construction company that at the time we were purchasing um, or building, uh, you know, underground utilities, golf courses. So my first job was actually building a golf course, which was a lot of fun because I am a golfer as well, and so that was one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, and so straight out of college, working in that field was a lot of fun, and then from there, I had a life changing event where my mom had passed away, and so it brought me back to Southern California. I was at living in Oregon when in Portland, Oregon when this job was taking place, and so I ended up migrating, back south and closer to home and family, and that is when I transitioned into the mortgage profession, and so that was back in 2002 when I got back into when I started into the mortgage industry.
So you mentioned your mum passing away. Were you fairly young at that time?
I was 25 years old when she passed, and so that was 1999, and so I just graduated from college, and so I kind of you know worked for a few years, and then there was just something that in my brain wasn't clicking with my lifestyle and where I was, and just something just seemed off, and so not that I didn't love what I did, and I loved Oregon and everything about it. So it was just there was just something that was telling me that I had a different path, and I think a lot of people don't recognize that, and they force things, and they're not able to find their happiness in life because they're not either willing to make those changes or able to make those changes for whatever reason. And so I made that change, and it was the best decision I ever made. I look at kind of that path that I was heading down at the time, and I had a lot of destructive behaviors with what was going on mentally with you know having your mom pass, and a lot of emotions, and trying to cope with it, and things aren't fair, and realizing that life is short, and so you got to take advantage of it because you only get one chance. And as my mom said, she was 58 years old, she's like, you're going to blink, and before you know it, you're sitting here on your deathbed, and you know you got to go out there and enjoy life to the fullest. And so I took a few months off after transitioning from my job up in Oregon, and I went and traveled all over Europe with a friend of mine whose mom also you know was unfortunately murdered. That's a totally crazy different story for another time, but um, you know, we we had this amazing trip, and I grew so much as a human being and as a person, and just it was the best thing that literally ever happened to me, and it just that was part of my development as a person, and just it was amazing seeing all different cultures, and just having the ability to just read every day, and take some time off and just explore the world, and yeah, it was great.
Can you remember the point, Tommy, when you went from this mindset of it's not fair, which I can completely understand when something happens, so, something so dramatic as that when you're such a young age. Can you remember the point at which you switched your mindset from it's not fair and all that goes with that to I've got one chance and I need to lead a happy life? Can you remember the point that happened?
I don't think it was like one thing in particular. It was all of it, and it was just it was decisions that I've always had the mindset of life is about choices, and you know none of it is fair, right? And you get to choose every day when you wake up. Do you want to be happy or do you want to be sad, right? And so I tend to choose happiness. I mean, it's not always that easy, but ultimately it's a mindset. And so knowing that it's a choice, and I think a lot of this was instilled by my mom. She always had me sitting there. My family wasn't uber religious, but we were, my mom worked with a Christian school, and so I would sit there and watch the Hour of Power with Robert Schuller, and he had a tremendous positive impact on my life, because he was all about just the positive mindset, and so that's where it really came from. And that was starting in like fifth grade. And so it really was instilled in me at an early age, and it's just kind of it's interesting where you're exposed to that and you don't really think about it, but it's back in the back of your mind. And so I think it just kind of is one of those things where you just kind of let go of the past. You don't forget about it, but you have to move on. And everybody has is going to experience death in their life. And so it's one of those things where you don't really prepare for it. I mean, my mom was died of cancer, and she was suffering for like 5 years, and battling, and at the end, like, we knew it was coming, but then it's final, right? And then like there's this huge void, and you got to figure out how to replace that. And my mom was like the matriarch, right? She ran our entire family and kept everybody together, and she knew how to calm nerves and keep people from arguing and fighting with one another. And when she was gone, there was a huge missing piece to our family happiness. And even to this day, like, there's still a lot of you know love loss that is between our family members, just not getting along as well as we would if she was here. So yeah, that's a tough thing to learn to live with. And again, it wasn't one just aha moment. It was just, you kind of go through the process, and at some point you either choose to move on and you know keep that person's memory alive in the best way, or you let that cripple you and you have excuses the rest of your life, and you don't ever move on and you can't find happiness. And so again, like, I would much rather choose happiness. I mean, that's just
I
no
love
brainer
that
for me.
you're talking about this, Tommy, and I think what amazing lessons your mum taught you. And also, I love what you said about life not being fair. I remember my dad used to say that to me regularly, and it used to upset me so much. And I used to argue, and yes, it is fair, because I so wanted life to be fair. But then, of course, I learned as I grew up that you're right, life isn't fair, but we always have a choice. And sometimes we don't like the choices we have, but we always have a choice in that moment. So I love that you've mentioned that. So going back to home. So of course, everybody wants a lovely home, don't they? And of course, taking out loans is a really smart way of, being able to have different choices. So it's very appealing for people. And I totally get that you helping people to fulfill their dreams is really rewarding. But the actual nitty gritty of extracting information and filling in forms, isn't that rather a dry process? I mean, in fact, it's my kind of idea of a nightmare because I don't like the nitty gritty. Do you love what you do, or is it just a way of paying your mortgage?
No, I mean, I'm truly blessed in the fact that, I wake up every day and the first thing I want to do is go into work and get my day started. And um, I have a discipline of, trying to exercise every day and getting into the office early and working, before my children wake up. So I've got, 7 and 9 year old daughters, and so, I put in, 2, 3 hours of work before they get up. So that way I can have some time to spend with them in the morning before they get shipped off. So, for me, there's, it's called work, right? Like there isn't any profession that you're not putting in the work, and there aren't hard things. I mean, you look at a professional athlete, for example. I mean, they put in the work. It's not like, hey, let's just go play a game. Like, these guys are at the gym for 6 hours a day, and sitting there shooting basketballs all day long, or soccer balls, or golf balls, or what have you. I mean, they put in the work. And so, are there things that I would rather not do in part of my business? Yeah, I mean, looking at tax returns and going through that. I mean, that's definitely not sexy, right? But it's part of the business. And the the thing that I really enjoy is being able to connect with people. And it's hard when you have to tell somebody, hey, you don't qualify now, but let's put you on a path forward. So let's figure out, like, you do X, Y, and Z to get there. And then let's talk again in a year from now when you're getting ready to file your tax returns, to kind of see how things look then. I work with a lot of people on their credit. I actually literally just had a client, which I don't know if you guys have the same credit scores um, in England, but we have a scale from 350 up to 850, and below 600 is extremely bad. And so I have a client that literally just 2 months ago was at a 540. We got them up to a 680, and they're closing on their home tomorrow. And so, we spend a lot of time with our clients, helping them to, guide them in the right direction so that they can have these successes. And, they went from having a loan with, you know, higher rate, higher fees, to all of a sudden they're getting a lower rate with a $9,000 credit to help them out with their closing costs. And so, these are the things that I get excited about, like, yeah, like looking at somebody's credit report, like, oh, that seems awful, right? But I look at it and like, oh, how can we save this person money? How can we make this a better situation for them and their families? Like, they don't teach it in school, like that's and they should, they should be teaching people fiscally, how to be fiscally conservative, how to be responsible, how to, how to not take on too much credit card debt, and here in America, like, it's awful, what people are getting themselves into. And so, I look at this as an opportunity to help people, because, it's not just about buying a home, it's your entire portfolio. And, hey, if you could stop spending $2,000 a month on your credit card minimum payments, and take $2,000 into investing in, with a financial advisor, that's life changing. I mean, literally. I mean, um, so those are things that we always try and look at and educate and have those conversations with, for sure.
Brilliant. There are a million loan consultants, aren't there? And a million mortgage advisors. Why would you say, Tommy, that in what way would you say you're different?
Yeah, I mean,
I
the
don't mean your
reality
company,
is,
I mean you personally. What makes you different?
I'd say there's a few things. One, I am a certified mortgage advisor, and so I do have a designation that less than 1% of the mortgage consultants have in America. The second part to that is that, I care. There's a lot of people that just care about, making money. And that's all they care about. And so, I refer people to other loan officers all the time. Like if I'm not the right person and there's something better out there, like I have absolutely no problem saying, hey, go talk to, my friend over at the bank. They might have a better program for you. In fact, I know they have a better program for you. Like talk to this particular person because he has the best program for you. We're not the best at everything. We're really, really good at almost everything, but we're the best at a lot of things. It's just not everything, right? And so, that's one of the things that I know for a fact. Like, there's very few people that would ever just refer somebody out as somebody else, not knowing they're not going to get paid on a deal. Like, and I got no problem on that. And because for me, it's all about doing what's right for the people. And I sleep amazing at night because I know I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. And I know that all my clients are actually in the best hands. And if they're not, I'm putting them in the best hands. So they're always going to be in the right hands.
I love that. That's integrity. So yeah, right behind that. You obviously mentioned you've got two daughters, one's 7, one's 9. Do you ever feel torn between spending time with family and your work, or do you feel you've got the perfect work-life balance?
Uh, so the answer to that is I am failing miserably at work-life balance. And so, if it wasn't for the fact that we had, COVID, and I was stuck working from home, I never would have seen my kids over the last 2 years. I mean, that's just the reality. Our business was so just ridiculously, jam-packed that I was working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I still couldn't keep up. And so um, things have calmed down a little bit right now. And so I'm trying to do things like take Friday off and spend that just with my daughters. And so that's kind of been a goal of mine for the summer. I've literally like put it on my calendar, and I was able to do that last Friday. And of course I sliced my foot wide open and had to get stitches, and now I can't walk. And so the first of the goals has set me back for the next few weeks. But yeah, I've made it a conscious decision that, hey, I need to do this. I mean, it was one of those things where you're trying to drink from a fire hose, and we were all getting burnt out in my profession. I mean, it just the as you may or may not know, the interest rates have been at historic lows over the last year and a half here. And so like anybody that had a mortgage was wanting to refinance. And so so that was both great and exhausting and difficult and challenging. But I took time to at least, have that breakfast with them in the morning. I would take lunch, have lunch with them. I would take a break to go jump in the trampoline with them for, 15 minutes and try and get a little bit of exercise with them. And then, have dinner with them and then read them books at night. So, it wasn't a lot, but it was better than, just not seeing them all day. And because if I was going into the office, I would have missed out on a lot. And so in a lot of ways, COVID was a huge, beneficial thing for myself and my family, in that it kind of forced me to be efficient working remote, where I've always said in the past, like, I can't do it. There's too many distractions, there's too much going on. And so, under the gun, like, you have to make it work. And so, so now it's just like, I actually like working from home now. And it's like, maybe I won't go back into the office. So, but I still go back from time to time. But I've got my home office so dialed in now that it's like, well, I don't really need to go anywhere. I don't have to drive anywhere. It's better for not having to buy gas, and so so yeah. I mean, if you do it the right way, it can be efficient. But yes, I completely have failed in that department.
But it's a work in progress, isn't it? And I guess sometimes it's just simply a case, like you say, of putting it in the calendar, or as we would say in the UK, putting it in your diary. And obviously your two girls are absolutely going to remember those times that Daddy was jumping on the trampoline with them. I think trampoline's best investment ever. One final question, Tommy. When you're no longer on this planet, how would you like to be remembered?
That's an interesting question. I want to be remembered as somebody left things better than the way they found it. And so, I think, especially today with how everything is just so outrageously politicized, and I self-admittedly, I don't spend a lot of time on, online. I don't read the news. I don't get caught up in all of the nonsense, I like to call it. Especially, social media can be so destructive. It's a powerful tool at the same point, but you know, I I don't I don't get caught up in all of the media hype and whatnot. And so for me, it's about making a impression on my children, my friends, my family, and just trying to be somebody that, you know, likes to have fun and likes to do the right thing, and tries to make everything better than the way I found it. That's always been, my motto. If I ever borrowed something, right, you return it better than it was given to you. And that's kind of, we're all here on borrowed time, right? And we're borrowing our space on this planet. So like everybody needs to try and do their best to make this planet a better place. And that's what I'm trying to do. And it's not like I'm out there, trying to save the world, and you know but I'm conscientious. It's like I try not to buy stuff made out of plastic. Like I try not to, buy water bottles. In fact, I refuse to. Like, so there's certain things that I'm doing in my own mind that makes me happy. But at the end of the day, like it's just about, trying to be a better person and trying to continue growing, and ultimately, I think I'd like to be remembered for somebody that just, cares and is trying to make other people's lives better. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Beautifully said. So if you're watching, please do check out Tommy's links below. But all there is to say, Tommy Evans, is thank you so very much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me. No, that was a lot of fun, and I hope you have a great rest of your day over there, and we'll be talking soon.